Welcome back to the Bible in 90 Days. We're on day 28. Man, it's hard to believe for 3 whole weeks. Well, at the end of this reading, it'll be 3 consecutive 7-day weeks we've been reading and really consuming God's Word. Today we're finishing up the book of 2 Kings, and then we're beginning the book of Chronicles. And what I'm going to do is stop kind of in the middle there and give you, because what these essentially are the same stories back to back. 1st and 2nd Kings is an account of the time of the kings, and then Chronicles, it begins with 9 whole chapters of genealogy. And what it is a chronicle, a record of the things and of the history of Israel. A chronicle. That's why it's called Chronicles. And I'll explain a little bit more into that when we get to that intermission time there. But man, I just want to reiterate we had the peak of Israel's history, which was David and Solomon, and we saw what happened there. We saw that they became arrogant. Even David, the greatest man that ever lived, aside from maybe a fellow like Job or something else, man, but they're not comparable. Honestly, they're not comparable. David was a picture of what God's righteousness would look like on a human. And when a human sits in God's righteousness, they can't help but become pious and arrogant. And that came to a head in David's life when he saw Bathsheba and could not resist the beauty of that woman. Even though he was her husband, she was married, and her husband was one of his men that grew up with David. That's such a Uriah the Hittite, that he was a Hittite, and possibly that's kind of partly why David wasn't able to, didn't respect him. I don't know if the race had anything to do with it, but, he honestly wasn't thinking about it. He was in his man brain, and he saw a woman that he wanted, and he said, and he's the king of Israel, the king of everything, the most righteous man that ever lived. Of course, if I want that woman, I can have her, is the way he was thinking. And that really cursed him for the rest of his life. The things that he went through after that were because of that. They were because of his disobedience. The one time he failed costed him, the lives of his children, some of his children, and it costed him peace, and it costed him, it costed him more than he benefited from it, And man, if it wasn't, it would have just been a one-night stand if she didn't become pregnant and he didn't have to kill Uriah. I don't know. It's just really, and I think Pastor Stephen Blanton said that he would like to, when we were talking about David there, he would like to just take that chapter out of his Bible. and he was he recanted what he was saying, but just if you did, David would have been absolutely great. Absolutely great. And then Solomon's downfall was, even more terrible, because he started out so well. He started out as a man after God's own heart, and in that, and then it was the same story of arrogance. The people came and people blessed him, and he started liking people's blessings. They would bring him gold and women and money and horses and just everything, and he just got accustomed to that spoiled lifestyle, and he couldn't give it up. So Solomon and David were the peak of it all, and then Judges was leading up to that, and Kings is leading away from that. And so now we are almost to the cusp of Chronicles, and as we finish up the book of Kings, ushers in the Babylonian captivity, which is the setting of much of the rest of what we're reading in the Old Testament. And then, but I'm just rambling on now, so let's jump into the Word of God. We're going to finish up the book of 2 Kings, and then we'll talk for just a minute. So we're on day 28. 2 Kings, chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became the king. He reigned in Jerusalem 55 years. His mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. He rebuilt the high places his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He also erected altars to Baal and made an Asherah pole, as Ahab, king of Israel, had done. He bowed down to all the starry hosts and worshipped them. He built altars in the temple of the Lord, which the Lord had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." In the 2 courts of the temple of the Lord he built altars to all the starry hosts. He sacrificed his own son in the fire, practiced divination, sought omens, and consulted mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. I can't help but think about astrology just in those few verses right there. I mean, he worshipped the starry host of the sky. He did, and this is evil. And that's, man, I don't want to get into theology there, but I want you to think about that, okay? I want you to think about zodiac signs and starry host of the sky, astrology and numerology, and these things that God considers evil, that we might even in our day consider okay. So we need to be careful with what we worship, and we need to define what worship is, because worship is not always just bowing down. It's consuming. It's consuming things that, and just to get a little bit into this, man, they found out a couple of weeks ago that the zodiac has been off by a month. So if you were, say I'm an Aquarius, I'm no longer an Aquarius. I'm a Cancer, or I don't know which way it was off. But so get into that and study that. The zodiac signs have been off for thousands of years. They just realized, some astrologer or astronomer figured out that the zodiac was off by about a month, which seems like it's not a big deal, huh? It's too funny. Okay, so that's how reliable that kind of science can be. And it's, look, as well as I do, that it's not all completely wrong. I mean, and while it's morally probably wrong because God disagrees with it, it is wrong because it's been a month off the whole time. So, but it's not all wrong. I mean, you can be wowed by a birthday book that tells you who you are in your birthday, or you can be wowed by tarot cards, or you could be wowed by some kind of spiritist thing. And so what Manasseh was basically, in our day today, was a modern day New Age theology. He kind of just mix-mashed all these different things, all these different studies of creation, and worshipped them rather than the creator of everything that has set his people aside. And man, I have really gotten off course with this, but this is really speaking to me right now. So let's continue in verse 7. He took the carved Asherah pole he he had made and put it in the temple which the Lord had said to David and to his son Solomon. In this temple and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. I will not again make the feet of the Israelites wander from the land I have given their ancestors. If only they will be careful to do everything I commanded them, I will keep the whole law that my servant Moses gave them. But my people did not listen. This is obviously important to the writer of 2 Kings, okay? Manasseh led them astray, so that they did more evil than the nations the Lord had destroyed before the Israelites. So it's not that they did more evil, it's that they were God's people and they were doing evil. Okay? Man. Verse 10. The Lord said through Moses, his servants, the prophets, Manasseh, king of Judah, has committed these detestable sins. He has done more evil than the Amorites who preceded him, and has led Judah into the sin with his idols. Therefore, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I am going to bring such a disaster on Jerusalem and Judah that the ears of everyone who hears of it will tingle. And that's what we're going to hear about. I will stretch out over Jerusalem the measuring line used against Samaria, and the plumb line. Remember this later, the plumb line, when we get to Amos and the other prophets. Used against the house of Ahab. I will wipe out Jerusalem as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. I will forsake the remnant of my inheritance and give them into the hands of the enemies. They will be looted and plundered by their enemies, and they have done evil in my eyes. I have aroused my anger from the day their ancestors came out of Egypt until this day. Moreover, Manasseh also shed so much innocent blood that he filled Jerusalem from end to end, besides the sin that he had caused Judah to commit, so that they did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 17. As for the other events of Manasseh's reign, all that he did, including the sin he committed, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Manasseh rested with his ancestors and was buried in his palace garden, the garden of Uzzah, and Amnon his son succeeded him as king. Verse 19. Amnon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. His mother's name was Meshullemeth, daughter of Haruz. She was from Jotbah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father Manasseh had done. He followed completely the ways of his father, worshipping the idols his father had worshipped, and bowing down to them. He forsook the Lord, the God of his ancestors, and did not walk in obedience to him. Ammon's officials conspired against him and assassinated the king in his palace. Then the people of the land killed all who had plotted against Ammon, and they made Josiah his son king in his place. As for the other events of Ammon's reign and everything and what he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? He was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son succeeded him as king. So he was a short-lived bad guy. Chapter 22. Josiah is a good one. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. He reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. His mother's name was Jedidah, daughter of Adaiah. She was from Bozkath. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and followed completely the ways of his father David, not turning aside to the right or to the left. Verse 3. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent the secretary, Shaphan, to the son of Azaliah, the son of Meshullam, to the temple of the Lord, he said, Go up to Hilkiah, the high priest, and have him get ready the money that was brought into the temple of the Lord, to which the doorkeepers have collected from the people. Have them entrusted to the men appointed to supervise the work on the temple. And have these men pay workers to repair the temple of the Lord, the carpenters, the builders, and the masons. Also have them purchase timber and dress stone to repair the temple. But they need not account for the money entrusted to them, because they are honest in their dealings. Verse 8. Hilkiah, the priest, said to Shaphan, the secretary, I have found the book of the law in the temple of the Lord. He gave it to Shaphan, who read it. Then Shaphan, the secretary, went to the king and reported to him, Your officials have paid out the money that was in the temple of the Lord and have entrusted it to the workers and supervisors at the temple. Then Shaphan, his secretary, informed the king, Hilkiah, the priest, has given me a book. And Shaphan read it in the presence of the king. Now, that book would have been likely the Tanakh, the Old Testament, up to what we have here. It would have been the book of Moses, the book of the law, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, Numbers, and probably Joshua, and some history of Judges. I don't know. I don't know if that's a part of it or not, but the book of the law would have been, it could have been just Leviticus. So they read all of this in the king. Verse 11. When the king heard the words of the book of the law, he tore his robes. He gave these orders to Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, Akbor, son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the secretary, and Asaiah, the king's attendant, Go and inquire of the Lord for me and for the people for all Judah about what is written in this book and that has been found. Great is the Lord's anger that burns against us, because those who have gone before us have not obeyed the words of this book. They have not acted in accordance with the law, with all that is written there concerning us. That is a picture of repentance. You acknowledge your sin and you turn from it. Hey, we haven't done these things. We're in trouble. Verse 14. Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, Akbor, Shaphan, and Asaiah went to speak to the prophet Huldah, who was the wife of Shulam. There's a woman prophet right there. Son of Tikvah, the son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. She lived in Jerusalem, in the new quarter. She said to them, This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Tell the man who sent you to me, This is what the Lord says. I'm going to bring disaster on this place and its people according to everything written in the book of Judah, the book the king of Judah has read, because they have forsaken me and burned incense to other gods and aroused my anger by the idols that their hands have made. My anger will burn against this place and will not be quenched till the king of Judah tell the king of Judah who sent you to inquire of the Lord. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says concerning the words you heard. Because your heart was responsive when you humbled yourself to the Lord, when you heard what I have spoken against this place and its people, then that they would become a curse and be laid waste. And because you tore your robes and wept in my presence, I have heard you, declares the Lord. Therefore I will gather you to your ancestors, and you will be buried in peace. Your eyes will not see all the disaster I am going to bring to this place. So they took her answer back to the king. I think this is fascinating, man. God promises destruction. Okay, he promised he promised blessings. Now he's promising cursings. And you remember back when Joshua first brought them into Canaan land, they had two mountains. They pronounced blessings on one mountain and curses on the other. Everyone said, "We will follow the Lord from this day on." And that is not what happened. It started in Judges. Right after Joshua died, they started going sideways. Probably even before Joshua died, they started going sideways. But we see this, and we see Josiah that will not, and God's promises are always good. So God is promising Josiah will live peaceful, but it's really just delaying the inevitable. Chapter 23. Then the king called together the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. He went up to the temple of the Lord with the people of Judah, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the priests and the prophets, all the people from the least to the greatest. He read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the temple of the Lord. The king stood by the pillar and renewed the covenant in the presence of the Lord, to follow the Lord and keep his commandments, statutes, and decrees, with all his heart and with all his soul, thus confirming the words of the covenant written in this book. Then all the people pledged themselves to the covenant. Verse 4. The king ordered Hilkiah, the high priest, the priests next in rank, and the doorkeepers to remove from the temple of the Lord all the articles made for Baal and Asherah, and all the starry hosts. He burned them outside of Jerusalem in the fields of the Kidron Valley and took the ashes to Bethel. He did away with the idolatrous priests appointed by the kings of Judah to burn incense on the high places of the towns of Judah and on those around Jerusalem, those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun and to the moon and to the constellations, and all the starry host. He took the Asherah pole from the temple of the Lord to the Kidron Valley outside Jerusalem and burned it there. He ground it to powder and scattered the dust over the graves of the common people. He also tore down the quarters of the male shrine prostitutes that were in the temple of the Lord. Jeez. The quarters were where women did weaving for Asherah. Verse 8. Josiah brought all the priests from the towns of Judah and desecrated the high places from Jeba to Beersheba, where the priests had burned incense. He broke down the gateway at the entrance of the gate of Joshua, the city governor, which was on the left of the city gate. Although the priests of the high places did not serve at the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, they ate unleavened bread with their fellow priests. Verse 10. He desecrated Topheth, which was in the valley of Ben Hinnom, so no one could use it to sacrifice their son or daughter in the fire to Molech. He removed from the entrance to the temple of the Lord horses, the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun. They were in the court near the room of an official named Nathan-Melech. Josiah then burned the chariots dedicated to the sun. He pulled down the altars of the kings of Judah had erected on the roof near the upper room of Ahaz, and the altars of Manasseh had built, and the altars that Manasseh had built in the two courts of the temple of the Lord. He removed them from there and smashed them to pieces and threw the rubble into the Kidron Valley. The king also desecrated the high places that were east of Jerusalem on the south hill of corruption, the one Solomon, king of Israel, had built for Ashtaroth, the vile goddess of the Sidonians, for Chemosh, the vile god of Moab, and Molech, the detestable god of the people of Ammon. Josiah smashed the sacred stones and cut down the Asherah poles and covered the sites with human bones. Verse 15. Even the altar at Bethel, the high place made by Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had caused Israel to sin, Even that altar on the high place he demolished. He burned the high place to the ground and ground it to powder, and burned the Asherah pole also. Then Josiah looked around and saw the tombs that were there on the hillside, and he had the bones removed from them and burned on the altar to defile it, in accordance with the word of the Lord proclaimed by the man of God who foretold these things. Verse 17. The king asked, "What is that tombstone I see?" The people of the city said, "It marks the tomb of the man of God who came from Judah and pronounced against the altar of Bethel the very things you have done to it." Verse 18, "Leave it alone," he said. "Do not let anyone disturb his bones." That was the unnamed prophet that we read a couple days ago. So they spared his bones and those of the prophet who had come from Samaria, just as he had done at Bethel. Josiah removed all the shrines and all the high places that the king of Israel had built in the towns of Samaria, and had aroused the Lord's anger. Josiah slaughtered all the priests of the high places on the altars, and burned human bones on them. Then he went back to Jerusalem. Verse 21, the king gave this order to all the people: "Celebrate the Passover to the Lord your God, as it is written in this book of the covenant." Verse 22, neither in the days of the judges who led Israel, listen to this, neither in the days of the judges who led Israel, nor in the days of the kings of Israel and the kings of Judah had any such Passover been observed. Isn't that crazy? They never did it. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, this Passover celebrated to the Lord in Jerusalem. The Passover was celebrated to the Lord in Jerusalem. 24. Furthermore, Josiah got rid of the mediums and spiritists and household gods and the idols of all the people and their detestable things in Judah and Jerusalem. This he did to fulfill the requirements of the law written in the book that Hilkiah the priest had discovered in the temple of the Lord. Neither before nor after Joash was there a king like him, who turned to the Lord as he did, with all his heart and with all his soul and with all his strength, in accordance with all the law of Moses. Verse 26, nevertheless, the Lord did not turn away from the heat of his fierce anger which burned against Judah, because of all that Manasseh had done to arouse his anger. So the Lord said, I will remove Judah also from my presence, as I removed Israel. I will reject Jerusalem, the city I chose, and this temple, which I had said, my name shall be there. Guys, I want you to know that what Jerusalem did, what Judah did, what Israel did, broke God's heart. I mean, he blessed these people, and this breaks his heart to do this. But when God makes a promise, he cannot not do it. He promised blessing if they followed his will, and he promised curses when they fell away. And they fell away, and there's only holding it back. Okay, 28. As for the other events of Josiah's reign, all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Verse 29. While Josiah was king, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went up to the Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. King Josiah marched out to meet him in battle, but Necho faced him and killed him at Megiddo. Josiah's servants brought his body in a chariot from Megiddo to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Josiah, and anointed him and made him king in place of his father. Verse 31. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. She was from Libnah, and he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. Pharaoh Necho put him in chains at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, so that he might not reign in Jerusalem. He imposed on Judah a levy of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. Pharaoh Necho made Eliakim, son of Josiah, king in place of his father Josiah, and changed Eliakim's names to Jehoiakim. But he took Jehoahaz and carried him off to Egypt, and there he died. Jehoiakim paid Pharaoh Necho the silver and the gold he demanded. In order to do so, he taxed the land and exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land according to their assessments. Verse 36. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Zebidah, daughter of Pedaiah, and she was from Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his predecessors had done. Chapter 24. During Jehoiakim's reign, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, invaded the land, and Jehoiakim became his vassal for 3 years. But then he turned against Nebuchadnezzar and rebelled. The Lord sent Babylon, Aramean, Moabite, and Ammonite raiders against him to destroy Judah, in accordance with the word the Lord proclaimed by his servants the prophets. Surely these things happened to Judah according to the Lord's command, in order to remove them from his presence because of the sin of Manasseh and all he had done, including the shedding of innocent blood, for he had filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, and the Lord was not willing to forgive. As for the other events of Jehoiakim's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Jehoiakim rested with his ancestors, and Jehoiakim, his son, succeeded him as king. Verse 7. The king of Egypt did not march out from his own country again, because the king of Babylon had taken all his territory, from the Wadi of Egypt to the Euphrates River. See, when we say the word Egypt, we think of the upper left corner of Africa. Now, Egypt had everything that Israel could not control, and that's kind of part of this tribe. That's part of this tribal war. Those boundaries moved from time to time, from whoever was stronger. You had Egypt, Israel, Assyria, and even farther to the west, you had Babylon. I think I'm doing this backwards for y'all. I'm doing it from my view. So we think of Egypt, modern day Egypt, and we see modern day Egypt. But all of these societies are movable. Verse 8. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan. She was from Jerusalem. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father had done. At the time of the officers of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, advanced on Jerusalem and laid siege to it, and Nebuchadnezzar himself came up to the city while his officers were besieging it. Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and his mother, his attendants and nobles, and his officials all surrendered to him. In the 8th year of the reign of the king of Babylon, he took Jehoiakim prisoner, as the Lord declared. Nebuchadnezzar removed the treasures from the temple of the Lord and from the royal palace, and cut up the gold articles that Solomon, king of Israel, had made for the temple of the Lord. He carried all Jerusalem into exile. All the officers and fighting men, and all the skilled workers and artisans, a total of 10,000. Only the poorest people of the land were left. Verse 15. Nebuchadnezzar, this is 586 BC. That's exactly where this is. Nebuchadnezzar took Jehoiakim captive to Babylon. He also took from Jerusalem to Babylon the king's mother, his wives, his officials, and the prominent people of the land. The king of Babylon also deported to Babylon the entire force of 7,000 fighting men, strong, fit for war, and 1,000 skilled workers and artisans. He made Mattaneh, Jehoiakim's uncle, king in his place, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Verse 18. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother's name was Hamutal, daughter of Jeremiah. He was from Libnah. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, just as Jehoiakim had done. It was because of the Lord's anger that this happened to Jerusalem and Judah, and in the end thrust them from his presence. This may not be, I'm not exactly sure. This could be 620 BC, but there's like a 30-year period there where there are people in exile, and this is really going to come clear when we get into the major prophets. Ezekiel and Jeremiah kind of spell this time out for us. So while Zedekiah is king in Jerusalem, he's carried off his nephew, Jehoiakim, to Babylon. So there's not two kings. There is a king in Jerusalem, and there is the other king who's not dead. I think they gouged his eyes out. That's all going to come clear later. But it's just, man, this is it. This is the bottom of the valley, guys. This is the saddest part of the Bible. Well, not really, but all right. We're about halfway through verse 20. Now Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. That was smart, wasn't it? And remember this when we're talking about Jeremiah, because this is exactly where Jeremiah goes. And just as we have just some future casting here, we have Jeremiah, a prophet in Jerusalem, and we have Ezekiel, a prophet in Babylon, in the exile. And then later you have Daniel, but during this time we have Ezekiel, who's carried off, and Jeremiah, who's stayed. They took the rich guy away. He was already a priest. And Jeremiah, who is definitely one of a kind. They're both one of a kind. But all right. Chapter 25. So in the 9th year of Zedekiah's reign, on the 10th day of the 10th month, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, marched against Jerusalem with his whole army. He encamped outside of the city and besieged and built siege works all around it. The city was kept under siege until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. So that's a long time. I mean, you're talking about, there's a 30-year period there. By the 9th day of the 4th month of the famine in the city had become so severe that there was no food for the people to eat. Then the city wall was broken through, and the whole army fled in at night through the gate between the two walls, near the king's garden. Though the Babylonians were surrounding the city, they fled toward the Arabah. But the Babylonian army pursued the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. All his soldiers were separated from him and scattered, and he was captured. He was taken to the king of Babylon at Riblah, there where sentence was pronounced to him, and they killed the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and then they put out his eyes. Okay, this is where they put out his eyes, and bound him with the bronze shackles and took him to Babylon. Verse 8. On the 7th day of the 5th month, in the 19th year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, Nebuzaradan, commander of the imperial guard, an official of the king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem. He set fire to the temple of the Lord, the royal place, and all the houses of Jerusalem. Every important building he burned down. The whole Babylonian army under the commander of the imperial guard broke down the walls around Jerusalem. Nebuzaradan, the commander of the guard, carried into exile the people who remained in the city along with the rest of the populace who had deserted the king of Babylon. But the commander left behind some of the poorest people of the land to work the vineyards and fields. 13. The Babylonians broke up the bronze pillars and the movable stands of the bronze sea that were at the temple, and they carried the bronze to Babylon. They also took away the pots, the shovels, the wick trimmers, dishes, and all the bronze articles used in the temple service. The commander of the imperial guard took away the censers and the sprinkling bowls and all that were made of pure gold or silver. The bronze, verse 16, the bronze from the 2 pillars, the sea, and the removable stands which Solomon had made for the temple of the Lord was more than could be weighed. Remember, they couldn't weigh it when they made it. Now they can't weigh it when they're taking it away. Each pillar was 18 cubits high. The bronze capital on the top of the pillar was 3 cubits high, and was decorated with a network of pomegranates of bronze, and all around the other pillar with its network was similar. They're just describing this stuff to re-emulate how awesome it was. That tells me that the author saw this. The whoever wrote this book of 2 Kings saw this stuff happening, and it broke his heart, and he just wanted to describe it perfectly. Verse 18. The commander of the guard took as prisoners Seraiah, the chief priest, Zephaniah, the priest next in rank, and the three doorkeepers of those still in the city. He took the officer in charge of the fighting men, and the royal advisors. He took the secretary, who is the chief officer in charge of conscripting people of the land, and 60 of the conscripts who were found in the city. Nebuzaradan, the commander, took them all and brought them to the king of Babylon at Riblah. There at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, the king had them executed. So Judah went into captivity away from her land. This is 586. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, appointed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, to be over the people he had left behind in Judah. When all the army officers and their men heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Gedaliah as governor, they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and Johanan, son of Kareah, Seraiah, son of Tenhumeth, the Zeophite, Jaazaniah, the son of Makathite, and their men. Gedaliah took an oath to reassure them and their men. Do not be afraid of the Babylonian officials, he said. Settle down in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it will go well with you. Verse 25. In the 7th month, however, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, who was of royal blood, came with 10 men and assassinated Gedaliah, and also, this is in Jerusalem, and also the men of Jerusalem and of Judah and the Babylonians who were with him at Mizpah. At this, all the people, from the least to the greatest, together with the army officers, fled to Egypt for fear of the Babylonians. Verse 27. In the 37th year of exile in Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the year of Awel Marduk, became king of Babylon. He released Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from prison. He did this on the 20th day of the 12th month. He spoke kindly to him and gave him a seat of honor higher than those of the other kings who were with him in Babylon. So Jehoiakim put aside his prison clothes, and for the rest of his life he ate regularly at the king's table. Day by day, the king gave Jehoiakim a regular allowance as long as he lived. Man, dude, Kings, it's, if you hadn't read through it, man, it's something else. So I want to tell you that these stories are kind of the same story over and over again. Kings and Chronicles. But Kings, the way I was taught, Kings is taught to be before exile, okay? And then Chronicles, we believe, is written by Ezra. And as we go through Chronicles and then into Ezra, we see that Ezra was a type of a historian who was able to preserve the law, who was able to and kind of a secretary that was able to redo this. So while Kings is in a pre-Babylonian exile, and that's what this period is called, when it's like the 70 years or whatever that Judah, it's not Israel. Okay, Israel is destroyed. Israel is gone. Assyria destroyed Israel, carried off the people, mixed with them, and did all that. And it wasn't, I mean, honestly, it wasn't worth saving. They had gone so apostate, so far from God, that they were not able to be redeemed. If that's even possible, well, we see that it is, because where are those tribes? We know the people of Israel nowadays, we know them as Jews, Judah, from the tribe of Judah. So, 1st and 2nd Chronicles is from the perspective of after Babylon. Okay, so 1st, 2nd Kings, probably written during its time. 1st, 2nd Chronicles chronicles all of the same history from the perspective of captivity. Okay, so it's the same story, but a different perspective. And it starts out today, for the rest of the day today, we're reading genealogy, and that's all there is to it. Most of the day, most of tomorrow's reading, all going to be genealogy, because tomorrow we're going to be reading through chapter 17. I think the genealogy goes through chapter 9. While we're reading this genealogy, don't turn this off now. I want you to pay attention to the names that we're hearing, that we're reading, because you're really, at this point, when first time I read through this, I was like, man, can I just skip this? And I was like, nah, I better not. It's just a list of names. It's 9 chapters of names. I'm not joking you. It's him begat him, begat him, begat him. If you ever worry about the Bible, want to know where that is at in the Bible, this is it. We're about to read it. But it's a blessing, I'm going to tell you. First time I read through this, when we read 1st Chronicles, and then when we get to Matthew, and we read the genealogy of Jesus, man, it's like we really get to know this family, God's chosen people. And you really get a perspective of God's love on them. So let's begin in 1st Chronicles. Here we go. Returning to the reading. Stretching. Get my reading muscles stretching. Yeah. 1st Chronicles, chapter 1. Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah. The sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Verse 5. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittites, and the Rodanites. Verse 8. The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. Canaan, if I say it according to what I have been saying, the AAs. Verse 9. The sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, Sabta, Ra'amah, and Sebteka. The sons of Ra'amah, Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on earth. That would be the king of the Assyrians. Verse 11. Egypt was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lahabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrusites, and Kasluhites, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorites. Canaan, was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Simrites, and Hamathites. Cut that little piece out. Verse 17. The sons of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. The two sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because of his time on earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Shelef, Hazarmaveth, Jirah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. These were the sons of Joktan. Shem, Arphaxad, Selah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Nahor, and Terah, and Abram, that is Abraham. The sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. These were their descendants. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Abdiel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Timah, Jitur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael. Verse 32. The sons born to Keturah, Abraham's concubine, Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. The sons of Jokshan, Sheba, and Dedan. The sons of Midian, Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldaah. These were the descendants of Keturah. 34. Abraham was the father of Isaac, and the sons of Isaac, Esau and Israel. Verse 35. The sons of Esau, Eliphaz, Ruel, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. Verse 36. The sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. By Timnah, Amalek. The sons of Ruel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. 38. The sons of Seir, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. The sons of Lotan, Hori, Homam. Timnah was Lotan's sister. The sons of Shobal, Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shipho, and Onem. The sons of Zibeon, Ayah, and Anah. The sons of Anah, Dishon. The sons of Dishon, Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Kiran. The sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zaavan, and Akan. The sons of Dishan, Uz, and Haran. 43. These were the kings of Edom, kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. Bela, son of Beor, whose city was named Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, the son of Zerah, from Bozrah, succeeded him as king. When Jobab died, Husham from the land of the Timonites succeeded him as king. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Bedad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, succeeded him as king. His city was named Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah from Maseracah succeeded him as king. When Samlah died, Shaul from Rehoboth on the river succeeded him as king. When Shaul died, Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor, succeeded him as king. When Baal-Hanan died, Hadad succeeded him as king, and his city was named Pau, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezuhab. Hadad also died. I think they all died, except for... Sorry, I was just being smart. The chiefs of Edom were Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Oholibama, Elah, Pinon, Kenaz, Timan, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Eram. These were the chiefs of Edom. Chapter 2. These were the sons of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Verse 3. The sons of Judah: Onan, Shelah. These three were born to him by a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shaul. Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Judah's daughter-in-law, Tamar, bore Perez and Zerah to Judah. He had 5 sons in all. Verse 5, the sons of Perez: Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Zerah: Zimri, Ethan, Heman, Calcol, and Darda. 5 in all. The son of Carmi: Achar, who brought trouble on Israel by violating the ban on taking devoted things. I guess that's the same as Akan. That's Akan. Okay, cool. Verse 8. The son of Ethan: Azariah. The sons born to Hezron were Jerahmeel, Ram, and Caleb. Verse 10. Ram was the father of Amminadab, and Amminadab the father of Nahshon, the leader of the people of Judah. Nahshon was the father of Salmon, and Salmon the father of Boaz, and Boaz the father of Obed, and Obed the father of Jesse. Verse 13, Jesse was the father of Eliab, his firstborn. His second was Abinadab, the third Shemiah, the fourth Nethanel, the fifth Radai, the sixth Omez, and the seventh David. Their sisters were Zeruiah, and Abigail. Zeruiah's three sons were Abishai, Joab, and Asahel. Oh, I didn't know. I wonder if that's the same Joab. Abigail was the mother of Amasa, whose father was Jether, the Ishmaelite. Verse 18. Caleb, son of Hezron, had children by his wife Azubah and by Jerioth. These were her sons, Jesher, Shobab, and Ardon. When Azubah died, Caleb married Ephrath, who bore him Hur. Hur was the father of Uri, and Uri the father of Bazazal. 21. Later, Hezron, when he was 60 years old, married the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead. He made love to her, and she bore him Sigub. Sigub was the father of Jair, who controlled 23 towns in Gilead. But Jesher and Aram captured Havoth Jair, as well as Kenath with its surrounding settlements, 60 towns. All these were the descendants of Machir, the father of Gilead. 24. After Hezron died, Caleb, Ephrathah, Abijah, the wife of Hezron, bore him Ashur, the father of Tekoa. 25. The sons of Jerahmeel, the firstborn of Hezron, Ram his first, Bunah, Oren, Ozem, and Ahijah. Jerahmeel had another wife whose name was Atara. She was the mother of Onam. Verse 27. The sons of Ram were the firstborn of Jerahmeel, Maaz, Jamin, and Eker. The sons of Onam, Shammai, and Jada. The sons of Shammai, Nadab, and Ibshur. Ibshur's wife was named Abihail, who bore him Achban and Molid. The sons of Nadab, Seled and Aphaim. Seled died without children. The son of Aphaim, Ishi, who was the father of Sheshan. Sheshan was the father of Ahlai, the sons of Jada, Shammai's brother, Jether and Jonathan. Jether died without children. The sons of Jonathan, Peleth and Zaza. These were the descendants of Jerahmeel. Sheshan had no sons, only daughters. He had an Egyptian servant named Jarrah. Sheshan gave his daughter in marriage to his servant Jarrah, and she bore him Attai. Attai was the father of Nathan. Nathan the father of Zabad. Zabad the father of Ephlal. Ephlal the father of Obed. Obed the father of Jehu. Jehu the father of Azariah. Azariah the father of Helez. Helez the father of Elisah. Elisa the father of Sismai. Sismai the father of Shallum. Shallum the father of Jechamiah. And Jechamiah the father of Elishama. Verse 42. The sons of Caleb, the brother of Jerahmeel, Misha, his firstborn, who is the father of Ziph. Ziph and his son Mershah, who was the father of Hebron. Verse 43, the sons of Hebron, Korah, Tapua, Rechem, Shema. Shema was the father of Raham, Raham the father of Jorkim. Rechem was the father of Shammai. The son of Shammai was Maon. Maon was the father of Beth-zur. Caleb's concubine, Ephah, was the mother of Haran. Moza, Gazez. Haran was the father of Gazez. The sons of Jahdai, Regem, Jotham, Jishan, Pelet, Ephah, and Saaph. 48. Caleb's concubine, Maacah, was the mother of Sheber and Tirhana. She also gave birth to Saaph, the father of Madmana, madman, and Shiva, the father of Machbenah and Gibeah. Caleb's daughter was Aksah. These were the descendants of Caleb. The sons of Hur, the firstborn of Ephrathah, the Shobal, the father of Kirath Jearim, Salma, the father of Bethlehem, and Hariph, the father of Gad-Gader, or Beth-Gader. 52. The descendants of Shobal, the father of Kirath Jearim, were Haroeh, half the Manathites, and the clans of Kirath Jearim, the Ithrites, the Pethuites, Puthites, Shamathites, and Mishraites. From these descended the Zorathites and Eshtaulites. The descendants of Salma, Bethlehem, the Netophathites, Atroth, Beth Joab, half the Manathites, the Zorites, the clans of the scribes who lived at Jabez, the Tirathites, Shimeathites, the Sukathites. These are the Kenites who came from Hamath, the father of the Rechabites. Chapter 3. These were the sons of David born to him in Hebron. The firstborn was Amnon, the son of Ahinoam of Jezreel. The second, Daniel, the son of Abigail of Carmel. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, daughter of Talmi, king of Jeshur. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. The sixth, Ithream, by his wife Eglah. The sixth were born to David in Hebron. These six were born to David in Hebron, where he reigned 7 years and 6 months. David reigned in Jerusalem 33 years, and these were the children born to him there: Shammua, Shobab, Nathan, and Solomon. These 4 were by Bathsheba, daughter of Ammiel. And there were also Ibhar, Elishua, Eliphet, Nogah, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphet. 9 in all. These were the sons of David, beside his sons, by his concubines, and Tamar was their sister. Verse 10. Solomon's son was Rehoboam, Abijah his son, Asa his son, Jehoshaphat, his son, Jehoram, his son, Ahaziah, his son, Joash, his son, Amaziah, his son, Azariah, his son, Jotham, his son, Ahaz, his son, Hezekiah, his son, Manasseh, his son, Ammon, his son, Josiah, his son. The sons of Josiah, Johanan, the firstborn, Jehoiakim, the second son, Zedekiah, the third, Shallum, the fourth. The successors of Jehoiakim, Jehoiakin, his son, and Zedekiah. Verse 17. The descendants of Jehoiakim, the captive, Shealtiel, his son, Malkiram, Pediah, Shenazar, Jechamiah, Hoshama, and Nebadiah. Nedabiah. I got that dyslexicized. Verse 19. The son of Pediah, Zerubbabel and Shimei. The sons of Zerubbabel, Meshulam and Hananiah. Sholomith was their sister. There were also 5 others: Hashubah, Ochiel, Berechiah, Hashadiah, and Jehub Hesed. 21. The descendants of Hananiah, Pelatiah, and Jeshaiah. The sons of Rephaiah and Arnan, and of Obadiah, and of Shechaniah. The descendants of Shechaniah, Shemaiah, and his sons, Hattush, Igal, Bariah, Neriah, and Shaphat. 6 in all. Verse 23. The sons of Neriah, Elionaiah, Hizkiah, and Azrikam. 3 sons in all. 3 in all. The sons of Elionaiah, Hodaviah, Elishib, Elashib, Peliah, Akub, Johanan, Deliah, and Anani. 7 in all. Chapter 4. The descendants of Judah, Perez, Hezron, Carmi, Hur, and Shobal. Rehiah, son of Shobal, was the father of Jahath, and Jahath the father of Ahumai and Lahad. These were the clans of the Zorathites. These were the sons of Etam, Jezreel, Ishma, Idbash. Their sister was named Hazalaponi. Penuel was the father of Gedor, and Ezer the father of Husha. These were the descendants of Hur, firstborn of Ephrathah, and the father of Bethlehem. Ashur, the father of Tekoa, had 2 wives, Helah and Naarah. Naarah bore him Ahuzam, Hefer, Timni, and Ha'ashtari. That's a hard one. These were the descendants of Naarah. The sons of Helah, Zereth, Zohar, Ethnan, and Koz, who was the father of Anub and Hazabah, and the clans of the Aharel, son of Harum. Verse 9. Jabaz was more honorable than his brothers. His mother named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me, and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. Verse 11. Kilob, Shuha's brother, was the father of Mechir, who was the father of Eshton, and Eshton was the father of Beth Rapha, and Paseah, and Tehaniah, the father of Nahash. These were the men of Rekha. This, verse 13, the sons of Kenaz, Othniel, and Sariah. The sons of Othniel, Hathath, Meonathai. Meonathai was the father of Ophrah. Sariah was the father of Joab. The father of Jeharashim was called this because his people were skilled workers. Verse 15. The sons of Caleb the Juphaneth, Caleb of Juphanah, Elah, and Naam. The son of Elah, Kenaz. The sons of Jehalalel, Ziphah, Terah, Asarel. The sons of Ezra, Jether, Mered, Epher, and Jalon. One of Mered's wives gave birth to Miriam, Shammai, and Ishba, the father of Eshtemoa. His wife, verse 18 says, his wife was from the tribe of Judah, gave birth to Jared, the father of Gedor, Heber, the father of Soko, and Jekuthiel, the father of Zanoah. These were the children of the Pharaoh's daughter Bithiah, whom Mered had married. Verse 19, the sons of Hodiah's wife, the sister of Nechem, the father of Kiliah the Garmite, and Eshtemoa the Ma'akathite. The sons of Shimon, Amnon, Rinnah, Ben-Hanan, and Tilon. The descendants of Ishi, Zoheth, and Ben-Zoheth. The sons of Shelah, the son of Judah, the father of Lichah, and Laadah, the father of Marashah. The clans of the linen workers at Beth Ashbeh. Joachim, the men of Kozba, and Joash, and Saraph, who ruled in Moab, and Jashubi Lachem. These records are from ancient times. They were the potters who lived in Netaim and Gedera, and they stayed there and worked for the king. Verse 24, the descendants of Simeon, Nemuel, Jamin, Jarib, Zerah, and Shaul. Shalom was Shaul's son, Bimza his son, and Mishma his son. The descendants of Mishma, Hamuel, son of Zakur, and his son, and Shimei his son. Shimei had 16 sons and 6 daughters. His brothers did not have many children, so the entire clan did not become as numerous as the people of Judah. They lived in Beersheba, Molada, Hazar Shaul, and Bilhah, Ezem, Tolad, Bethuel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Makaboth, Hazar Susim, Beth Biri, and Sha'araim. These were their towns until the reign of David. Their surrounding villages were Etam, Ain, Rimmon, Token, and Ashan, 5 towns. And all the villages around these towns, as far as Baalath, these were their settlements, and they kept a genealogical record. Verse 34. Meshobab, Jamlech, Joshua, son of Amaziah, Joel, Jehu, son of Joshibiah, the son of Sariah, the son of Asiel, also Eloinai, Shemael, Benaiah, and Ziza, the son of Shiphi of Shimri, the son of Shemaiah. Verse 38. The men listed above by name were the leaders of their clans. Their families increased greatly, and they went to the outskirts of Gedor in the east, in the valley in search of pasture for their flocks. They found rich, good pasture, and the land was spacious, peaceful, and quiet. Some Hamites had lived there formerly. Verse 41. The men whose names were listed came in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah. They attacked the Hamites in their dwellings, and also the Minuites who were there, and completely destroyed them, as it is evident to this day. When they settled in their place, because there was pasture for their flocks, and 500 of the Simeonites, led by Pelatiah, Neriah, Rephaiah, and Uzziel, the sons of Ishi, invaded the hill country of Seir. They killed the remaining Amalekites who had escaped, and they have lived there to this day. Chapter 5. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel. He was the firstborn, but when he defiled his father's marriage bed, his rights as firstborn were given to the sons of Joseph, son of Israel. So he could not be listed in the genealogical record in accordance with his birthright. And though Judah was the strongest of his brothers, and a ruler came from him, the rights of the firstborn belonged to Joseph. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel: Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi, the descendants of Joel. Shemaiah his son, Gog his son, Shimei his son, Micah his son, Reiah his son, Baal his son, and Bera his son, whom Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, took into exile. Beriah was the leader of the Reubenites, their relatives by clans, listed according to their genealogical records. Jeiel, the chief Zechariah, and Bela, son of Azaz, the son of Shema, the son of Joel. They settled in the area of Aror to Nebo and Baal Meon. And to the east they occupied the land up to the edge of the desert that extends to the Euphrates River, because their livestock had increased in Gilead. Verse 10. During Saul's reign they had waged war against the Hagarites, who were defeated at their hands, and they occupied the dwellings of the Hagarites throughout the entire region of east of Gilead. Verse 11. The Gadites lived next to them in Bashan, as far as Salakah. Joel was the chief of the chief is Shapham, the second then Jenai, and Shaphat in Bashan. Their relatives by family were Michael, Meshulam, Sheba, Jorai, Jachan, Zia, and Eber, 7 in all. These were the sons of Abihail, son of Huri, the son of Jeroah, and the son of Gilead, the son of Michael, and the son of Jeshishai, the son of Jahdo, the son of Buz, or Buzz, Ahi, the son of Abdiel, the son of Guni, was head of their family. Verse 16. The Gadites had lived in Gilead, in Bashan, and its outlying villages, and on the pasture of Sharon, as far as they extended. Verse 17. All these were entered in the genealogical records during the reigns of Jotham, king of Judah, and Jeroboam, king of Israel. Verse 18. The Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh had 44,760 men, ready for military service, able-bodied men who could handle a shield and a sword, who could use a bow, and who were trained for battle. They waged war against the Hagarites, Jetur, Naphish, and Nodab. They were helped in fighting them. And God delivered the Hagarites and all their allies into their hands because they cried out to him during the battle. He answered their prayers because they trusted in him. They seized their livestock, the livestock of the Hagarites, 50,000 camels, 250,000 sheep, and 2,000 donkeys. They also took 100,000 people captive. Many others fell slain because the battle was God's, and they occupied the land until the exile. Verse 23. The people of the half-tribe of Manasseh were numerous. They settled in the land from Bashan to Baal Hermon, that is, to Senir, Mount Hermon. Verse 24. These were the heads of their families: Epher, Ishi, Eliel, Azriel, Jeremiah, Hadoviah, and Jahdiel. They were brave warriors, famous men, and heads of their families, but they were unfaithful to God, to the God of their ancestors. Almost done. And prostituted themselves to the gods of the peoples of the land, whom God had destroyed before them. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, that is, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, who took the Reubenites, and the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh into exile. He took them to Halah, Habor, Hara, and to the river Gozan, where they are to this day. That is a lot of names. And I know a lot of those, man, I've read all this before, and it seems like a lot of them are new to me again. It's hard to, those aren't common names to us. So what I think is the lineage. What's important to understand is that, from Noah on, these are all the people of the whole world, and you saw these names spread out. There was a focus on the tribes of Benjamin, but it also, or the tribes of Israel, but you saw how all of the people are really one family. All of the people in the world are really one family. And we've become a lot different because of our nations, because of the way that we dress and act and culture and those kind of things. But we're really all the same thing. We're all the same family. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's reading. We've only got a few more chapters of genealogy in Chronicles. Yeah, a couple more pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, and then we get back into some narrative history. That's fun. That's always fun. So half of our reading tomorrow is going to be another list of names, but that doesn't mean we get to take it off. We're gonna do it, and we're gonna like it. I like it. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but I'm gonna like it. Well, brothers and sisters, God loves you. I love you too. Thank you for tuning in. See you again tomorrow. God bless you.